I used to eat 3 times a day like clockwork, 7 a.m., midday, 7 p.m. And when the fitness influencers started suggesting 5 small meals, tried that as well. But not only was it super difficult to sustain and hard to prepare, I simply wasn't getting the results that I wanted. I wasn't building muscle effectively, I wasn't even losing any fat, I was gaining fat. Intermittent fasting changed everything. So let's get into how and why you can incorporate fasting into your life. I just want to unload some bro science on you, which I believe is actually more than bro science. I think that the human race evolves from the Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, caveman days with fasting. Do you think caveman evolved having breakfast, continental breakfast, some croissants, or like some caveman soup or berries in the morning? Probably not. We would wake up, collect food or hunt, and then gather the food to eat with our people later on in the day. And if you just look at the word breakfast, it says break fast, right? It doesn't mean what you eat when you wake up or at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. Okay, and it's certainly not the most important meal of the day. It's just when you break the fast. And most people fast as they sleep, right? Because you can't sleep and eat at the same time. You break the fast when you wake up or many hours after you wake up, which is the way that I recommend it. So I eat around 1 p.m, 2 p.m, even 3 p.m. some days, and I wake up around 8 a.m. Saves me a lot of time. It's super great. Anyways, we'll get into all of that, but I just think breakfast is the biggest scam. It was invented by modern capitalist need to create desires to be satisfied. The machines to produce wheat or whatever needed to be sold. There was an exploding population and a need to sustain population growth. Means that we start producing knowledge on why breakfast is the most important meal of the day, why it sustains you and you need the energy. And all of us grow up having breakfast thinking there's something wrong with us if we don't have breakfast. This is just me ranting a little bit. So let's get into the nitty-gritty detail of how exactly to structure your fasting routine. Now, this is again based on A, my personal experience, what's worked best for me, and B, based on the Dr. Huberman's podcast. You should try to not eat anything at least 1 hour after you wake up. I like to say at least 4 hours. I like to wake up at A and eat at 1 p.m, 2 p.m. 5 hours, 6 hours of no eating. Just drinking coffee, obviously with no sugar helps, no cream, soy milk latte, whatever the hell chocolate thing you want to put in there. Don't put that in. Just have black coffee, because coffee is an appetite suppressant, right? It helps you stay not hungry until your first meal. Then when you have the first meal, make it low carb or no carb. That's going to stop you from triggering the monster, because essentially the monster is triggered by sugar and carbs. Because of the dopamine hit, get that insulin spike, you just want more sugar. So keep it low carb, keep it high protein, keep it healthy greens and fruits. That will keep you productive and focused throughout your entire day. And then in the evening, when you're winding down anyway, when you've done the bulk of the work, you can have a big carb heavy, fat heavy, protein heavy burger with beer, wine, whatever the hell you want. And you can have larger portions of it because you stayed very disciplined in the first half of the day. That's how I like to fast. Another thing Dr. Huberman suggests is not to eat 2 to 3 hours before you sleep, because your body is switching into the fasting mode. He talks a lot about how it's not necessarily about the act, it's about accessing the benefits of the fasted state. So you want your body to go into a fasted state. And in order to do that, you cannot just keep hitting it with little bits of dessert at night. There are these scientific rules and rhythms and what's best for optimization, and then there's your life, your preferences, and your priorities. Try to balance those and come up with an intuitive solution for you, rather than just saying, Dr. Huberman said nothing, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to live like a robot. I hate my life, and then burn out and then be like, Wanhee, I tried your thing, it never worked. Don't do that, okay? Find the sweet spot for you. You need to actually take time to be aware of your own body, aware of your own hunger signals, aware of your own binge eating triggers. Start learning about yourself and build an amazing system that works for you. Increased focus and productivity. The same reason carbs make you feel kind of brain foggy, kind of hard to concentrate. You have that big bowl of pasta, you're like, oh, I need to sleep. That's carbs. That's why I actually recommend to eat low carb or even no carb in the first meal of the day, or when it's earlier on in the day, because it will make you heavy, lose focus. The converse is true. If you go low carb, no carb, if you eat healthy greens and proteins and fats, or if you just don't eat at the beginning part of the day, then you don't have that heaviness feeling and you can go go straight into the most productive work, and you'll find that you have mental clarity, increased focus, and a lot of the scientific research that's been done has shown increased productivity and mental focus and mental clarity and so on and so forth. The reason fasting is so good is because it increases your fat mobilization as well, and it increases your human growth hormone. It mobilizes your fat burning can happen easy, promotes the production of human growth hormone, which helps your muscles grow. So if you're trying to do a body recomposition where you're trying to get to low body fat and increase muscle mass, then fasting just seems optimized to bring that result about. If you do time restricted eating, which is what fasting is, you only eat at a certain time, then your appetite is almost triggered around the same times of the day. That's the job of the hormone ghrelin. Ghrelin reminds our body when it's time to eat based on how we normally eat. So if you've been having breakfast for 10 years, your ghrelin is going to shoot up around 8 a.m., tell you to have that continental breakfast. But if you can wait enough and if you're patient enough to switch to a fasting kind of schedule where you don't eat breakfast, slowly but surely after 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month, you'll get adjusted to the new rhythm, which helps you, maintain your weight or even lose weight. Logically, you think, oh, if I eat 3 times a day, I'm going to be less hungry than if I ate twice. Like if I have breakfast, I'm going to be less hungry at lunch. Try it and tell me. Because in my experience, when I have breakfast, for some reason, I get hungry again at 10, again at 11. I'm not ravenous by lunchtime because I didn't have breakfast. You might be if you're someone that's used to breakfast, in the first 2 to 3 weeks. But once you get adjusted to it, you'll realize actually, no. In fact, those cravings, it's almost like waking up the monster that is your stomach. If you wake it up with a little bit of food, you're just like, whoa, I want more of that. Coupled with dopamine hits from the sugary food, you're like, more. And it's just going to stack up and stack up. Your hunger's not really reduced. So overall, by the end of the day, you've eaten a huge amount of calories. You've gained fat. You've gained weight. And you are further away from your goal. How many times has that happened to you guys? It's the same thing. Intuitively, you think if you're really busy and doing a lot of stuff, you'll get really hungry because you're using more energy, you'll eat more. But maybe it can be true, but if you lounge around on the couch all day, do you end up just searching out, craving food and eating more? Probably, right? That's my experience. I do nothing. I just lounge around the couch. I'm scouring for food like sweets. Whereas if your mind is occupied and you're productive because you're fasting and you're doing work and you're keeping yourself busy, you almost forget to eat. Right now I should be very hungry because I worked out, I'm filming this, but I'm not hungry because I'm in this mood of just productive work. Fasting is a game changer. It is what allows you to eat satisfying portions of meals, like a normal person. I see these guys on Instagram, the Korean fitness influencers that are preparing for their body profile photo shoot. These guys, right, they post what they eat and they post their workouts, and I'm looking at it going, why do you, it's your life, we live in a free world, you do what you want, but why do you want to live like that? The guy smells fried chicken breast and then drinks water. He smells fried chicken breast and then has like what looked like a cashew nut or whatever, like to kind of just like get the little pleasure from the chicken and then have the healthy thing, and they eat such restrictive, tiny portion meals, feeling depressed. And it's actually a thing where they get uber sensitive and like hangry all the time, and their significant other is always aware of the fact that this person is going through a diet and having like a really like angry mood. Why do you want to treat your body like that? It's streamlining yourself to some serious mental health problems, eating disorders and what have you. Why not instead actually have decent portions like a normal person and just be aware of certain nutritional principles like being in a caloric deficit, getting enough protein, coupling that with weight training, and then just build a nice body just like that? Do you need to be going to bodybuilding competitions with like 0% body fat? Your libido tanks, you have no sex drive. Like, why? Am I the only one who thinks that culture is messed up? All right, just eat the foods you love, be aware of yourself, and try to build that sweet spot for you. Now, don't mistake this point to say you can eat whatever you want and get us to a sick body. When I was the leanest I've ever been, right, when I looked the best, I wasn't drinking any alcohol. actually, and I was very serious about tracking my calories and walking, 10,000 steps a day, and I was weight training, I was tracking everything. I was very, very disciplined. So don't mistake this to think you can do whatever you want and still get in amazing shape. Yes, it requires discipline and self-awareness, but it certainly doesn't need to be this massively stressful, restrictive thing of like smelling fried chicken and having a cashew nut. All right, okay, another rant there. So fasting is obviously a great way you can eat normal portions and still be in a caloric deficit. The next thing that I want to say is, if you're someone that's trying to get into fasting, if you're trying to start one meal a day or intermittent fasting, realize that the first 2 to 3 weeks is going to be a challenge, because your hormonal system, your circadian rhythm, technical term that I learned from Dr. Huberman again, is basically the rhythm of your body, when it feels hungry, when it wants to go to sleep, when it starts to wake up, when it's releasing this and that and the other. That is set in you're just in circadian rhythm A, and intermittent fasting or whatever fasting routine you try is going to shift you into rhythm B. Your circadian rhythm is shifting. That process takes time, so you're going to have an adjustment period. Be aware of that. You might even get headaches. Some women say the period cycle changes a little bit or whatever. So, be aware of these kinds of changes, and you have to commit to it, but really commit to this new way of living rather than just trying a new fad diet. Okay, because I fast now as a lifestyle. It's actually very good for me because I can work in the morning. I train fasted. It feels good. I enjoy a little bit the feeling of hunger in my body. This is great. I could do this all my life, which makes it sustainable, which makes it good. Okay, but if you're just trying it for a couple of weeks, I guarantee you'll fail. I guarantee it, because first of all, those 2 weeks are the hardest, and second of all, any diet that you try that you just revert back to your original state, your body's just going to reflect whatever you're doing in the diet side. So when you try it, you have to really think, okay, I buy into this thing, I commit to fasting, I'm really going to try it out, and I'm going to be serious about it. And that takes setting up boundaries. That takes telling no to your grandmother who's shoving food down your throat at 8 a.m. and having the balls to say, no, I don't do that. I don't eat breakfast, grandma. All right? Okay, now we're going into boundaries. That's some really important stuff, but I won't go into that here. Go into in other videos if you want to check those out. And that's it. And the final thing that I'll say, guys, is obviously I'm not a medical professional. So if you have, diabetes or other medical conditions that affect whether you can do fasting in a healthy way or not, consult your medical professional. Don't consult a YouTube video. This is my personal experience. And I believe, if you don't have those medical conditions and you give fasting a try and you get enough protein and you do the weight training that we talk about in the most minimalist but effective way that builds your strength and functionality, then you will look great. You will look great. You will look as good as you can be without injecting yourself with performance enhancing drugs. Right? I hope that helped, guys. A lot of my other videos that, I hope to release some more sort of vlog style videos where I show a day in the life, like how I eat and how I actually do the fasting rhythms and stuff. I think the vloggy type, what I eat in a day videos already show that. So if you want to see the actual practice of it, go check out those videos. And if nothing else, stay present on the journey, because, otherwise what's the point? Right? Enjoy the process, enjoy your food, enjoy the journey of transforming your body. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.